He observed that it seems she likes him the way she does come to his house regularly. Since Akutsu, on the other hand, did not hear a positive response, she decided to go to her house, but Ooyama called her back as she was about to open the door. Moreover, Ooyama thought about it again, wondering why she is calling her back when he had always wanted her to go to her home. But right now, the feeling is different, as he did not want her to leave. Then he explained to her what the conversation she heard him talked about earlier, that it was about him returning home for a short time during the holidays, and that is not going to stop him from living alone. Then he told Akutsu how he liked being with her, so he is not going anywhere. Akutsu was happy, as she already thought that her hangout was going to disappear all of a sudden. But then, Wa remembered something which she found disgusting despite Ooyama showing his emotions. She hated the fact that he does respect her while in emotions. All of a sudden, Akutsu changed back to her former self, seeing the fact that she will still be coming to his house. Ooyama, seeing how she changed back, decided to go to the toilet. And Akutsu went to the room reflecting on the whole things that had happened and could see how Ooyama seemed to like her, even though it sounds weird for a virgin like Ooyama to say that kind of stuff. Akutsu was actually excited thinking back on how Ooyama held her shoulder that time, talking directly to her face. She couldn't hide the excitement on her face, while Ooyama, on the other hand, was regretting the mistake he made by calling her back. Akutsu was seen reading a novel the next day, which she was engrossed in, whereby Ooyama was just wondering how Akutsu could behave as if nothing had happened that day, that she still kept coming like normal. And Ooyama did not know when she might bring up that discussion again, but he knew that he has to do something before that will happen, although it's not like he can actually send her home though. Since what had happened, Ooyama has become conscious of Akutsu, because she has turned his apartment into her own hangout, and it's not like he really did mean to like her, just that he was going with the flow before. Just then, Akutsu asked him to help her get the volume, but he asked her to get it herself. He deliberately acts that cold to know if she will go home. To his surprise, Akutsu started tickling him since she knew that Ooyama was not like that before, so she did that to convince him to be able to help her get the volume. Surprisingly, Ooyama fell for her trap, even though he needed to send her home, but her cuteness is always winning. Now, Ooyama noticed that Akutsu's behavior has become different from before, as it seemed as if she's more gentle than before. Akutsu then let Ooyama know how disgusting he had been behaving that day, and that even got Akutsu more angry, as she ordered him to even get the volume for her. With a change in Akutsu's tone, Ooyama could not even hesitate as he quickly went and got it for her, because he could see how scary her face was right then. Later, Ooyama figured out that Akutsu was always harsh when she's embarrassed, and that she was actually conscious too. In the middle of the night, Ooyama woke up and was shocked to find out that Akutsu was sleeping by his side. He tried remembering why he found Akutsu still in his house at that time. Then he remembered that Akutsu was reading a manga novel before, in which she said she would leave for her house after she's done reading. But now, he wondered why she did not go home again. Anyways, he cannot do anything to her right then, so he only thought of excusing himself from her side before she wakes up. But instead, it was that moment that Akutsu now grabbed his arm more tightly to the extent that he cannot get away again, since he cannot release his arm without her finding out, and he didn't want to see things that he's not meant to see, like some part of her body. Ooyama then remembered one time when they happened to sleep together like that Akutsu thought he was doing something with her clothes when she woke up, so he decided to be more careful this time around. Fortunately for him, he was able to get his hand freed. Later in the morning, Akutsu woke up and was seen yawning as he claimed that she had a good sleep throughout the night. Just then, she suddenly sensed that she was still in Ooyama's house, which she did not realize at first. She then saw Ooyama sitting at the edge of the bed, and she realized that she had occupied his bed all through the night, so she apologized. As she could see that Ooyama had stayed awake all night, she might have made him too nervous to sleep, whereas Ooyama, on the other hand, was worried about his swollen fingers that were grabbed tight by Akutsu in the midnight. He saw that it was not going back to normal yet. Akutsu came over this day again as usual. She saw Ooyama cleaning his ears just as he had done the previous day, and he replied that it was due to the fact that it had been bothering him before. Akutsu then offered to help him, but he rejected the offer, saying that it was because it was shirty and nothing else. But Akutsu tried to clear her point, that something else might need wrong with the war apart from being dirty, so she thought it would be better for her to help him find out. Meanwhile, Ooyama did not want to feel inconvenient, and Akatsu already knew that. That was his problem, so she was free with him, telling him not to be shy after all. Then she asked him to rest on his lap while she helped him check it. Oyama's heart was beating at this point, yet he was feeling at home while resting like that, because her lap was so soft and her body also smelled nice. Then he asked Akatsu if his ear is safe with her, as he wanted to know if he has done it for someone else before, but she replied she hasn't, and that scared Oyama more. Instead of Akatsu to get straight to what she wanted to check, she firstly played with the ear, but Oyama cautioned her to stop playing with it. Due to the caution he made, Akatsu then decided to put in some fighting spirit rather than being friendly. She eventually put in the cotton bud to check the ear, and she saw that the cotton bud was going inside the ear without any blockage or so. While she was doing this, Oyama was so scared but had no choice but to manage to stay calm. As Akatsu was putting in the cotton bud, she alerted him about how it's going deeper, and Oyama got more scared, till he eventually voiced out to her that he is scared with the fact that he is the first person he will be trying that with. So he asked that Akatsu be gentle with him. After a while of cleaning the ears deep in, the discomfort in the ears was gone. Even though Akatsu was doing it, she was also kind of afraid, as she knew that what she was doing was dangerous, just that she summoned up courage. Akatsu came to Oyama's house again, but this time she told him she would be staying over, as she had a fight with her parents and she ran away from home. But Oyama said she cannot stay in his house. Instead, he asked her to go to her friend's house, but she replied that they have boyfriends and so she cannot go there. Therefore, she implied that she did not have anywhere else to stay over apart from his house, and so she undressed herself to feel at home, but Oyama asked why she would be that in front of him. She did not talk, rather she changed into another pair of clothes, and Oyama was relieved because he did not know that was what she was trying to do. Although Akatsu has stayed over before, this time it was exciting for him, but he only allowed her to stay for that night alone. However, Akatsu let him know that she won't be going home for at least a month, so she brought some of her clothes, including her loungewear, in which Oyama wanted to see her wear, so he can see how sexy she would be in it. But after Ooyama thought about it, he saw that a month is a lot, so he let her know that it cannot work. But Akatsu insisted that she would be staying there no matter what. Meanwhile, Ooyama was worried about her parents, so she calmed him down that he has nothing to do with her parents, therefore he should not worry. Ooyama did not know anything about Akatsu's family situation. Maybe it is quite a difficult one though. Moreover, Akatsu already started feeling at home, as she made the third drawer in his room for her own personal use. Whereas Ooyama could not still believe his ears that Akatsu would be living with him for a whole month, so he still confirmed again, and she replied to him that it would be like that since she did not have any other place to go. Ooyama did not want her parents to worry about her, as he considered that as a family problem on its own. Therefore, he decided not to meddle in that. Although he knew that her parents might think she was somewhere hanging around on the road, Akatsu cautioned him not to think such things again. While they were still talking, Akatsu's phone rang, and she picked it up, telling her parents again on the phone that she is not going back home just because of the fact that her mother ate her vanilla ice cream which she bought. She even made emphasis that she write her name on it just because she did not want anyone to eat, despite that her mother still ate it, and that was the cause of why she was angry and left home. But eventually, the parents made up with her and she later went home. Akatsu still came again this day. All the clothes and stuff she brought to Ooyama's house before during the fight between her and her parents was still in Ooyama's house, and Ooyama asked her to pack it back to her house. Ooyama remembered that she left it when he opened the drawer and saw her panties and underwear, so that was why he told her to pack them. He explained to Akatsu that he had totally forgotten it was there before when he opened the drawer, but Akatsu insisted that he knew it was there before he opened it, that he just deliberately opened it. Later, Akatsu told him to let her stuff still be there, as she might stay over any time, so she will just leave them there. That sounds like bad news to Ooyama because he did not want her to stay again. Instead, she should just pack her things and leave. Funniest part, she even allowed Ooyama to use her stuff whenever he feels like, just that she asked him to help her wash them back. But she added that whenever he does so, then he would over 500 yen, as the first tome would be for free. Ooyama then explained to her that it was not because he wanted to use them, but because if she did not take her stuff back, then he would not be able to store his own things. Thereafter, Akatsu then gave him and said that she would take her things with her when leaving, only if Ooyama can hand over her panties to her, and not that she would be the one to pack it. Then she would take them. Oyama was pissed at this because it was quite impossible for him to do. Actually, Akutsu knew that he cannot do it, and since he raised that as well, that made Akutsu refer to him as a loser for not being able to hold her panties. Later, Akutsu revealed to him that she actually planned it because those panties were not what he normally wears though, so he knew he would not touch them. That was why she did that. And still, she did not pack them back home that day. Oyama wanted to air out the bed sheets on his day off, taking advantage of the pleasant weather. He asked Akutsu to move from the bed so he could get started, but she stubbornly refused to leave. He pleaded with her, explaining that the weather was perfect for airing out the sheets, and that it was his only chance to do so since it was his day off. Akutsu burst into laughter at his insistence, finding his request amusing. She teased him about being a shut-in, suggesting that he should use his day off to go out and have fun instead of focusing on something as mundane as airing out the bed sheets. Her playful jabs continued as she cheekily suggested that he should just move her out of the way if it was so important to him, knowing full well that he wouldn't dare to do that. Seeing that Akutsu wasn't easily persuaded, Oyama tried a different approach. He told her that his bed sheets were dirty and asked if she wouldn't mind letting him air them out. Akutsu, unimpressed, responded that she didn't care if they smelled. In fact, she added with a mischievous grin, she could roll around on the sheets freely as long as he didn't do anything weird on them, which made Oyama blush and quickly ask her to stop. Determined to make her point, Akutsu playfully lifted the bed sheets and draped them over Oyama's face, to which she also realized that it actually does stink, and she immediately asked him to air it out right away. When Akutsu got to Oyama's house, she was clearly upset and holding her head in her hand. She told him that her parents were mad at her because she had eaten her mom's ice cream without permission, which had caused a fight. At first, Oyama didn't understand what was going on, but he felt better when he realized it was just about ice cream. The man asked Oyama if she had a bump on her head. Akutsu asked Oyama to feel her head because she couldn't tell just by looking. He was shocked to feel that her head was a little swollen when he touched it. He was so honest that Akutsu was surprised. She hadn't thought he would touch her head right away. Akutsu asked Oyama to touch her head again as he was getting ready to go get some ice cream. She really just wanted to enjoy the comfort of his touch. At the same time, the bump on her head started to hurt even more. Akutsu went to Oyama's house as usual, but this time he was caught up in a video game. She chose to get in the way of his game by challenging him to a game of her own. It was down to the last round. If Akutsu won, Oyama would promise to buy her ice cream, and she was the winner of several rounds. While Oyama was trying to focus on the game, Akutsu put her legs over his shoulders as a joke, which was meant to take his attention away. The delay made Oyama angry, and he said it was unfair and that he couldn't concentrate with her legs in the way. He was getting more and more annoyed as he tried to focus on the game. Oyama asked Akutsu what was wrong when she suddenly shifted in a way that didn't feel right. She said that being in that position for too long had made her legs feel numb, that if he moved quickly, things could get even worse for her, she said. As the numbness got worse, she grabbed Oyama's head and pulled it closer to her body, telling him not to move. Oyama chose to make the most of the situation because he felt both sorry for and amused by what was happening. Because Akutsu had scared him so many times in the past, he saw this as a chance to get back at him. He was angry at her and started to lift her legs, even though she told him to stop right away. When Akutsu found out what Oyama was doing, he tried to stop him, but Oyama was stubborn and kept doing what he was doing. At some point, Akutsu could no longer stand the pain and hit him. When Akutsu arrived the following day, she informed him that she would be staying over. Oyama then made an effort to express his concerns on the fact that she had been coming over so regularly that it was causing him to feel uneasy. She proceeded to flap her skirt and declare that it was hot, but Oyama instantly glanced aside, indicating that he is pretty determined not to let her stay. She then questioned him what he meant by that, and he responded by saying that he will not allow her to stay. She proceeded to tease him by stating that she would do everything for him to have the opportunity to stay with her. The fact that he is so adamant about not allowing her to stay with him caused her to become furious, and as a result, she yelled out loud that she would be staying in the home of another person. Upon hearing this, he was taken aback, and Akutsu proceeded by stating that this is not the only location where she could hang out, because she is able to go to a variety of various places. Immediately, Oyama gave his consent, since he was concerned that she might go to the residence of a strange individual in order to spend the night there, and Akutsu was relieved that her ruse was successful. After that, he drew closer to her in an effort to convince her that she would keep her promise that she would do anything. But Akutsu misinterpreted him and confused him with an attempt to make sexual overtures towards her. However, Oyama truly begged her to come to his place and not to go to the homes of any other men. He asked her to come to his place only. However, what Akutsu meant before was that she frequently went to the residence of her buddy Misaki, where she would occasionally taunt him to the point where he became humiliated. As a result of the fact that a lighter dropped out of Akutsu's pockets when she went to the toilet, Oyama was uncertain about what action to take. He speculated that Akutsu might be smoking because she is known to be a delinquent. Both of them are in a hopeless situation if the landlord discovers the truth about the situation and then reports it to the school. This is the source of his concern. In light of the fact that she is still a minor, he considered whether or not it would be beneficial to convince her to give up. Almost immediately after that, Akutsu emerged from the lavatory, and he inquired about the lighter. She responded by stating that it belonged to her mother, but she was perplexed as to why he had asked her that question. Perhaps he had assumed that she was smoking. After that, he responded by saying that he was truly concerned about her health, and that if she were to become pregnant, then the health of the baby would be at jeopardy. The atmosphere in the room became unpleasant as soon as he spoke these words, which became apparent very immediately. The fact that he mentioned a baby came as a surprise to Akutsu, and he attempted to excuse himself by saying that he would do so in the future, after she had been married. However, he went to the toilet in an attempt to hide his shame and ponder why he had done it in the first place. During this time, Akutsu continued to fantasize about a variety of subjects. Akutsu discussed the events that transpired at her school, including the fact that the instructor had called her out for her unacceptable appearance today, following which she would be required to report to him first thing in the morning for a reassessment at the school. Oyama, on the other hand, was of the opinion that she would not pass the inspection for the second time since she has piercings, her hair is colored blonde, and she does not even wear the standardized school uniform. She quickly became agitated and asked him what was wrong with her, to which he responded by mentioning her hair. He did not know when he blurted it out, but she immediately became angry. After that, she made the decision that she would have to dye it black for tomorrow. She then questioned him if boys are more interested in black-haired serious girls, the sort that is prim and proper. He said that it depended on the individual. Afterwards, he mentioned that he personally likes her in the current state that she is in. During the time that Akutsu was sleeping on the bed, Oyama attempted to clarify that he meant to say that he prefers ladies like her. However, Akutsu became embarrassed and instantly turned her gaze away. It was the next day that Akutsu received a reprimand from the instructor since she had not fixed anything and had not even bothered to come see the instructor in the morning. In response, she stated that she did not wish to come see the instructor. Upon seeing this, Oyama came to the conclusion that she had not changed her behavior. In response to Oyama's act of pretending to drink from her beverage, he expressed his regret by stating that he was unaware that it was hers and that he intended to clean it for her. However, Akutsu instantly taunted him by claiming that he must have believed that was an indirect kiss. She then asked him to give her the bottle, but he insisted on obtaining her a new one instead. Subsequently, she reached for the bottle and stated that she does not care about indirect kisses as long as they are not an actual kiss. She stated that she does not consider them to be valid. It dawned on him that he must have been overthinking the situation, and he began to question whether or not she had any prior experience kissing. Oyama tried to take the bottle away from her, but she went on mocking him, which caused him to stumble into her and put his mouth on her face. She wanted to demonstrate that she was serious by drinking from the bottle, but she kept on laughing at him. Instantaneously, he expressed his regret, stating that he had lost his balance. He was so embarrassed by her fun behavior that he went out of his way to bring her a replacement bottle as soon as he realized she was being playful. She was unaware of the fact that she was actually a little bit nervous because this was the very first time that a boy had kissed her. In the evening, Akutsu arrived late. It was already 10 o'clock, and he had not anticipated that she would show up today. After that, she informed him that she had been at karaoke and that her throat was dry. In the meantime, she was on her way to his house when she witnessed a creep attempting to grope her. Concerned, Oyama quickly inquired as to whether or not she was in any danger. During the time that she was giving the creep a good kick into his groins, she made an attempt to explain it away by saying that it wasn't a big problem. After that, Oyama advised her to refrain from coming over at such a late hour because it is extremely risky because she might come into contact with someone even more hazardous. He argued that he could not allow such a cute girl as her to wander around alone at night, and that if she ever wants to come later again, he can come pick her up, and if she is leaving late, he would take her home. She tried to reassure him that she is capable of defending herself, but he continued on stating that he cannot allow her to do so. When he told her that he intended to protect her, she became more submissive. She agreed with him and told him that she would begin calling him from that point forward. The next thing that happens is that Ooyama goes ahead and reports the intruder to the police while Akutsu is immersed in her own thoughts. The fact that Akutsu is in a foul mood was brought to Ooyama's attention, and she responded by informing him that the other females are all going to the beach over the summer vacation. On the other hand, she was unable to attend because she is just overweight, most likely as a result of the fact that she spends her whole day laying on her bed. There is no way that she would put on a swimsuit in such a state, but Ooyama does not believe that it could be so awful, which is why she just showed him her flabby belly. It was a complete surprise to him that she could just show it to him in such a manner. To demonstrate the change, she even showed him a picture of herself in a swimsuit that she had taken a year ago. In response to Ooyama's question about why he should be part, she explained that she can't just sit and suffer while watching him eat. Ooyama was astonished by her decision, and she responded by saying that she should be involved. It was intolerable for her to see him consume candy when she was not permitted to do so, and she was afraid that she would get enraged and violent with him. After that, she persuaded him that they ought to go on a diet, and if he agreed, she suggested that they go ahead and select his swimwear individually. During this time, Akutsu was trying to figure out what she had just promised. Ooyama was persuaded, and he responded by saying that he had gained some weight. He agreed with this statement. In this year's summer vacation, Ooyama is looking forward to it with great anticipation. Ooyama began to think about what Akutsu promised him, but then he felt Akutsu might just be messing with him, but then he decided to go check it out first. He even began to search for different kinds of swimsuits on his phone. Afterwards, the search history was discovered, and he was beaten up for it. The fact that Akutsu discovered a cat in Ooyama's apartment made her so happy that she questioned him where he obtained the cat, as she was hugging it. After that, he went on to explain that his landlord had left the cat with him for the day, but that he happened to find out that Akutsu is fond of cats. The fact that the cat's name is the same as her own, Riko, was something that she found out. Therefore, she requested that Ooyama attempt to call the name of the cat. However, Ooyama was dreading the precise moment, and she exerted a lot of pressure on him to do so. After a great deal of struggle and bravery, he finally uttered the name, and she answered right away. In response, he instantly stated that he was referring to the cat and not to her. In later times, after giving it a lot of thought, he made the decision to continue calling the cat Riko, regardless of Akutsu's feelings. He went so far as to express his desire to spend more time with Riko, specifically due to the fact that it smells pleasant. In the process of playing with Riko, the cat, Ooyama became overly engrossed. The temperature was so high that Akutsu started to feel uncomfortable in the room. She inquired as to whether or not the air conditioner was still malfunctioning, to which he responded that it would be rectified the following day, so they would have to bear with it until then. During the time that she was fanning herself, Ooyama had the impression that she smelt great. In the meantime, she noticed that he was kind of covering his nose, which led her to believe that she was smelling bad due to the sweat. She wondered if it was because of the sweat. Because he wanted to explain, but he did not know how to do so, Akutsu, feeling embarrassed, dragged his head into her armpit so that he could smell it. He did not realize that he was actually enjoying the experience. At some point, he revealed to her that he adores her scent so much that he desires to inhale it for the rest of his life. She was taken aback by his statement and questioned whether or not he was experiencing some kind of mental illness. Following that, Ooyama fell unconscious at some point. She requested that he open a gift for her, and he responded by saying that she should be the one to open the item herself. While this was going on, she made the decision to flatter him by telling him that he had been looking quite powerful as of late. This caused him to be impressed, and he instantly offered to assist her with the package. She was taken aback by the fact that the praises genuinely lifted his spirits, and as a result, she made the decision to torment him even further by asking him to carry her to the toilet and advising him to be gentle with her when it came to his strength. He became more impressed and made the decision to carry her. Meanwhile, she was genuinely impressed by the fact that he was able to carry her up, and she wondered if he actually became stronger. Ooyama was already panting and almost out of breath a short time later, which shocked her. He claimed that he is okay, despite the fact that she was surprised that he was almost out of breath by that point. On the other hand, She had a strong desire to use the loo, but Oyama, who was concerned that his pride would suffer, insisted on carrying her. She just made it in time, and she vowed that she would never again engage in such a confrontation with Oyama.